Yo, JD here, Limitless. And as you can see, we are back on Assetto, Corsa, Competizione. And it has been exactly a week since I've played this game. And first of all, just want to say thank you so much to people who watched that previous video, but mainly for the advice I received in terms of how to go about this game when I next go back on it. And you can see straight away we've decided to choose the aggressive set, but we have to make our way back to the keyboard, hence why we don't have a wireless keyboard. But I've had a ton of advice on how to improve my driving on this game, and I thought, why not go back on exactly the same thing once again and see how much we have improved in a week. And I actually haven't played this game really since, because I've been quite busy with real life stuff. But I was really excited to see what the progression would be, and we decided to go in a different camera this time, the one that most people recommend, obviously using the aggressive setup as well. And quite often when I do my one-to-one coaching, you don't really improve that much quickly. It's actually when you take a bit of a break, get yourself kind of mentally reset, and you digest the information subconsciously from what you did previously. Because I'm a really, really big believer in overtraining and overgrinding something. I think quite often the amount of time you take in between and actually to reset yourself is just as important. And I found, especially in the world of esports or anything competitive, or when you're trying to learn a new skill, it's not about so much the intensity, it's about less is more, if that makes sense. And sorry if it doesn't, but it's about the quality rather than quantity, which is, I think, the wording I was looking for. So I was very, very keen to see, and straight away I've managed to fix my wheel rotation issue, so thank you so much once again to people who highlighted that. And I have to say, I definitely enjoy this camera much more than I did on the previous one, and I've never driven a racing game where I actually can't see the wheel, so this is a bit of a first for me. But you can see straight away we're getting some invalidated laps, so I was very, very keen to try and set some clean ones as much as possible. And you can see so far we've done a 2-minute 1.5. Our fastest time last time was a 2-minute flat 0.4, so that is the time to go for. So we're coming through this section with this aggressive setup. The car is certainly a lot more loose. I felt like it was a lot harder to control, but quite often with most things, if it's harder to control, then you kind of need to just be a bit smoother with your movements in order to get the maximum out of the setup. Just because it doesn't feel good doesn't mean the result won't be good. And that is very much the case with F1 games as well. To come across on, we do a 2-minute 2, but that was invalidated. So I'm looking to do a clean lap without the timing going into the red at all. But yeah, like I said, quite often when you, especially someone who's a beginner at playing a racing game or a Formula 1 game, and you load in the world record setup, quite often people say, how the hell can someone use this setup? It's uncontrollable. But it's all about pushing it to the limit, being as smooth as possible. Sometimes, as you can see here, wasn't particularly smooth going through there, but it's about who can control it the best. And you could have an understeer setup that feels really nice and it's not going to spin out on you at all, but you're going to have to drive it 10 out of 10 to be semi-competitive. And then someone else is going to use a setup like this, which is much more aggressive, going to have a lot more grip available, but it's going to be much more on the edge. And they would only have to drive it 7 or 8 out of 10, and there's just so much more grip potential from the setup. They're actually going to be faster, so that's kind of the thought process you have to get used to. And that's why I gave myself a bit of time to get used to this setup as well. So now we're actually on our first proper clean lap so far. I did notice straight away that we seem to have a lot more speed to be able to carry going through into these corners, and someone sent me a quite nice email detailing how I should recommend to drive this car, and they said to use trail braking as much as possible during the corners. It's not about going on the power, it's actually about using the brakes as much as possible. So that's something I definitely had a bit more in mind. And yeah, the way you drive this car is just completely different to the way you drive a Formula 1 car. It's like, in terms of the lines, how you hit the curbs, how you brake, it's a completely different beast. But it is still a beast though. This car is absolutely nuts, and I know a lot of people said that this car isn't particularly that fun to drive in this game, so I am looking forward to getting into the world of online and league racing as well, which hopefully should be coming very soon. But especially for this final chicane, I was really struggling with the car, so I don't know if you need a few step changes or just have to perfect my driving. It's probably the latter. But going across the line, it's a 2-minute 2, and we've already beaten our time that we did last week, and I think we actually have, no, I think we have the same amount of fuel. But yeah, managed to beat that fairly quickly, so not too bad at all. But we're going to go for another lap straight away, and quite similar to the world record attempts that I do on the F1 games most years. Once you hit a lap time, you kind of break through that plateau. It's more of a mental thing as well, but also it's about developing that muscle memory, knowing what you have to do with the car in order to get that lap time. And if you haven't done it before, then it's completely new territory. And it's like learning anything. It's like learning, I don't know, any movement, like gymnastics or anything in the gym, or squatting or bench press or something like that. Over time, your body gets more efficient at doing it, and I believe that certainly is the case when it comes to online racing games as well, especially if you have a load cell pedal like I have. You will start to get much more efficient at using it, and you can see here we're actually 3 temps up on this lap so far and navigating this quite nicely. And this car seems to be, it either wants to be on the power or it wants to be on the brakes. It doesn't like to be anything but those two. It doesn't like to be coasting, from what I found when driving this. Now going to probably the hardest corner, this chicane, but absolutely love it. And we managed to do this a little bit better than before. Last lap was a bit of a nightmare through here, and you can really be quite aggressive with the power because traction control is enabled and is your friend in these cars. And going across the line is at 59.5, so that's a big improvement. So we're going to skip on again to, I think, the next lap, and this one is actually invalidated, but we are pretty much, well, we are exactly level of what we did on the previous lap. And coming through into here, let's see if we can do this a little bit better. But yeah, if you just get caught on the gravel, on the curbing, then that is game over. But yeah, again, like I said in the previous video, the force feedback and the realism you get from this game is, there's nothing quite like it. It is just absolutely surreal. And if you haven't played a full simulation game before, I strongly encourage you to purchase this game, because the more I play it, the more I want to play it. Pretty much, it's just absolutely insane. As we're going to go for another lap once again. So braking just before the 100-meter ball, so really have to stay on the brakes for a long time. The braking distances are much longer than they are in F1, and if anything, I think the braking is far harder than it is on the Formula 1 games. If you just brake 5 meters too late, then you're not making the corner. You have to keep up this minimum speed so much, and so far done a pretty nice first sector. So you can see on the top left-hand side of the screen, 0.03 up, carrying so much speed through here. For a GT car, this is just absolutely insane how much speed you could take through here. And this corner has always been a bit tricky for me, but we managed to get a fairly good exit. Now going to this one, using the camber of the corner, just after this patch on the left-hand side, that's what we want to be braking, and one carries so much apex speed through here, and we get a pretty nice exit as well. So again, 0.3 of a second up on this lap, going through this uphill chicane. And how do we do this? We do this pretty well, actually. In fact, almost 0.4 of a second up. So the pace is certainly coming together. Now coming down through into here. Every single corner is difficult, I think, when driving this car. But this one, we missed the apex ever so slightly, but we do get still a good exit. So we are still over 0.4 up on our previous best lap. Now going into the chicane of death, coming up through into here. How do we do going through this sequence of corners? Almost losing the car once again. But we are actually gaining time still to try and carry all the speed possible coming through into this last corner, and we're gaining even more time. And we were almost 0.6 up. So go across the line. What is this going to be? It's a 58.9. So 1.3 second improvement. I don't know how much of the aggressive setup will help there, but I certainly felt like I was driving much better than I did before. And I think I could have confidently got into the 59s, but you can see after this, we're still trying to improve on some of the laps. But as I said, in this car, if you just go a little bit wide or just push it that too much, then it will punish you. But now we come through into the final chicane, making absolute dog's dinner of that. But this is actually going to be my fastest lap I did. So coming to start the lap, not completely optimal when we just went in the gravel, but nonetheless, this is the best lap that I did. So coming across the line, you can see we're actually losing a little bit of time down that pit straight because of that poor last corner. Braking just before the 100-meter board, turning in nice and early, and that is the best we have done it so far. Coming through into a really awkward corner because again, it doesn't like to go off the power because then the back end wants to get away, so you have to kind of fluctuate between the power and the brakes, carrying as much movement speed as you can. Nice and early into this right hand side, kissing his curb, not running out too out wide, and we kept it within track limits. You can see 0.15 up as we hit the cones. That is our braking point. Try and stay nice and tight, but going a little bit of a slide, but 0.25 up going through into here. But this is the corner that I really struggle with. But we get a fairly okay exit, losing a bit of time, but overall gained time through that sector. Now going down into my favorite braking zone, using the camber of the corner, trying to get the power nice and early, and we've pretty much matched what we did previously. Going up into the chicane, try and be as close as you dare to the limits of the track. We did that fairly well. Now this corner is very difficult. So just before the 100-meter board, almost losing the car because say 0.4 of a second up, but coming through into here like last time, losing a bit of time through here. So we lost almost 1/10 of a second going through there, but you can see the exit was still fairly good. 0.4 of a second up. Now where do we brake? We brake just at the 100-meter board and try and navigate through this quite well, but we were being a bit cautious and still 0.4 of a second up. What do we do going through into this last corner? Losing a bit of time, so it didn't carry enough speed going to there, but trying to get a good exit. Almost going to be 0.4 of a second up. What time is this? It's a 1:58.6, which is a 1.5 second improvement or 1.6 second improvement from what we did before. So almost a 2-second improvement, which, as I said, I haven't been playing this all week. I only played this today, so just a week difference, but I'm really looking forward to actually start playing online on this. So as always, please keep giving me advice. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you are enjoying this content. Please give the video a like if you do, so it lets me know that you'd like to see more of Assetto Corsa and just other racing games in general, because there is just an abundance of amazing games out there, and it took me long enough to try them out. So definitely don't restrict yourself to one, especially if you've got a direct drive wheel like I have. You are very much missing out if you're not utilizing this level of equipment for other games. But you can see we kept on going. I kept on playing this for a good hour or so, I think. And eventually, yeah, after an hour or so, I always recommend to take a bit of a break, reset, come back later, and usually you'll make a big improvement. So that is my week's progression of Assetto Corsa Competizione. I really hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.